Hey guys, Travis Gillespie here. In the last video, you found measures of central tendency, and again, we talked about the mean, median, mode, and range. So we're going to move on to a new problem, and before we even get started let's just talk about sometimes when you look at data or values, you notice that there's maybe one or two values that are different compared to the others, and these are known as outliers. Typically, outliers, they're not just a little bit different, they're very different from the rest of the values in your set. And these outliers, they're known to sometimes skew your data or have an effect on it to where it would mess up your data. So sometimes you want to consider actually removing the outliers from your data because you would not get a true representation with them in there. That's because you want to have an accurate sense of the data that you're looking at. So let's take a look at an example here. I'm going to get the cool color blue here. I'm just going to write some values down. So we've got 9, 6, 91, 5, 7, I don't know, 6, have an 8, maybe another 8, a 7, and a 9. And your first goal here, before even starting to do anything, is take a minute, look, see if you can actually find the outlier in the group. Well, obviously 91 is the outlier in this group, so the next goal here is to determine how 91, or the outlier, affects the mean, median, and mode in your data. Now we can actually compute all of this data, and the way we'll do it here is let's compute it two different ways. Let's go ahead and I'm going to create a box for us real quick. So let's compute the data. One way that I'll do this, or we'll do this, is by using the mean, median, and mode. And what we'll do here is actually do it with, that's supposed to be an I. So do it with the outlier. And then the second one, let's do it without the outlier. So with the outlier out, without the outlier. And we're going to find the mean, the median, and mode. And the MED will be short for median. Well, to solve the mean here, all that I'm going to have to do is add all of these values up, and you will see that the total is 156 over the total number of values here, which 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So my mean is 156 over 10, which gives me 15.6. Let's actually move this down somewhere else. So I'm going to say, hey, here's my mean with the outlier. In fact, I'll do it down here. No, I'm still not satisfied. I'm going to move it around just a little bit more. So my mean right there. I'll move the screen over just a tad for us. And rewrite, hey, this is my mean. This is with the outlier. This is without the outlier. Let's look at the median next. Median, and I said I was just going to spell that MED, but let's fill it out. Well, the median here, using all of these values, well, first thing I got to do is reorder them from least to greatest. So I'll get my blue back out here. I'm going to reorder these now and say, hey, well, my smallest number here is a 5. We have 5, and the next greatest number is a 6. I've got 2 6s here. So 5, 2 6s. Then I've got, looks like 2 7s and 2 8s. And then looks like I have 2 9s and a 91. Okay, so now it looks like since I have an even number of values that I am going to, hey, count all the way down to the middle, and I'm going to break right about here. I can prove that to you guys right here. I've got 5 values on the left, 5 values on the left, and also, without rewriting it, maybe I'll have to. I don't think so. I got 5 values on the right as well. Okay, so I've got 5 values on both sides, and what I want to do is find the mean of the values for 7 and 8. Well, the values of 7 and 8 that added together are 15 divided by 2, so my median is going to be 15. How did I get 15? I got 15 by 7 plus 8 over 2, so that becomes 15 over 2, which actually equals 7.5. So 7.5 is going to be my median, and my mode here, my mode is going to be what value occurs most often, or what's the most popular value. Well, I've got a few here. I've got 6, 7, 8, and 9. Both occur the same amount of times, and they are the numbers that occur most. So my mode is actually going to be all 4 of those values: 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So from here, the next question is, well, what is the mean, median, and mode without the value 91? Or in other words, without the outlier. Well, first off, if I didn't have the value 91 here, my total sum would not be 156, but it would be 65. Add all the values up and get 65, and I would divide that instead of by 10, I divide it by 9 because I have 9 values now since I've cut out the outlier, and that actually becomes 65 over 9, which gives you 7.2, and 0.2 is a repeating decimal. I'm going to rewrite this value again, or these sets, with a color green, and this time I'm not going to include the value 61, and let's find out. I told you I'd use green, so let's find out what the new median becomes? Well, 5, 6, 6. One of the first things that should be coming to your mind is, hey, before I had to take the mean of the two middle values because I had an even number of values, well, now I don't have 91. I'm putting an X there because there's no 91, which means, hey, there is an odd number of values. If you have an odd number of values, it means you should find a middle number pretty easy. So I'm going to underline the first four on the left. Remember, we had 5 values on both sides last time. Well, now I'm going to take the 4 on the left and the 4 values on the right and just underline them. And that's going to give me my middle value of 7. There's another, it's a slower way of doing it, another process, but it still does the same trick, is start on the far left and cross out the 5, then move to the far right, cross out the 9, then go back all the way over to the left to the next consecutive number right after the one that you crossed out. So in this case it's 6, cross out the 6, move all the way back over to the right, go to the previous consecutive number of the one that you crossed out. So you start to see you go back and forth crossing out numbers until you reach a middle number. And it's going to lead you down the same path. You're going to get the same answer. Um, it just takes a little bit more time. But now you find out that your median is not 7.5, but 7. And your mode, well, again, your mode here, 91 was never included in your mode. So nothing else really changes there, and the most common occurring numbers should still be 6, 7, 8, and 9. So now that we've got our values, they're all written down, let's actually go back and ask ourselves and look at which one of the three values, mean, median, or mode, is most affected with the outlier or without the outlier. Well, if we look down at the mode, nothing really changed. 6, 7, 8, 9, 6, 7, 8, 9 for both values. So I have no change, so automatically it's definitely not going to be the mode. The mode is not affected by the outlier in this case. And the same is true for the median because 7.5 and 7, those are pretty darn close still. So these guys are truly affected by the outlier. However, when you get to the mean, you look at when you had the outlier, your value is 15.6, but without it, your outlier, your mean dropped to 7.2. So you see there's a large difference here, quite a spread. The other neat thing to see is when you remove the outlier, look how close the mean and the median are together in value. So values can, outliers can have large effects on data sets, especially when dealing with central tendency or mean, median, mode. But if you organize data, you can see actually from a list of unorganized data, such as over here to the left in blue, you can organize it, rearrange it, find various values, and those actually help you to make sense of what you're dealing with. Neat stuff.